Greetings and welcome back, gentles and ladiesmen, to episode 3 of Star Fox Zero. I'm ExoParadigmGamer. So, opening up this episode, we're going through a wormhole to the universe of Jimmy Neutron, where Hugh will ask a certain person to fetch a duck for him from the bottom of the lake. No, we are in fact in a different planet somewhere, and the game's going to give us some exposition here. Whenever you feel like it, game. Yeah. So, he'll tell us in a second. Yep, we're on Zonas, gentles and ladiesmen, which is... I don't think it was in the SNES game, I think it was in 64. And I think there was a multiplayer stage in Star Fox Assault, but it's basically just like this giant poison lake planet, I guess. I thought that stage was really ugly and not pleasant to look at in Star Fox 64, but now that I think back to it, they did actually bring back a lot of elements from that stage for this one, which is a lot different in many ways. So, yeah, this level, because we excuse me, because we flew into the portal as the Gyro Wing, that is what we are going to be playing as in this stage. Basically, Fox was able to use that portal to infiltrate inside of a base that is protected by a shield. And it was a former Cornerian base, but Andross's forces took it over, so now we are infiltrating the base from the inside to deactivate the shield so that Corneria can reclaim the base from Andross. And that is essentially what's going on here. Now, if I remember correctly from the 64 game, it's been a while since I played Zonas. I believe that stage had giant searchlights and evil worm robots in the water as well. So then, a lot of that does come back here. So what's different about this stage is, as you might have noticed from General Pepper's dialogue, this is a stealth section. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to avoid... I mean, like, it's not a stealth section. It's not like Metal Gear where, like, if you get caught, you're basically fucked unless if you could find somewhere to hide. Basically what happens is you can fight enemies, you could shoot enemies, you could do all that stuff, they will attack you without setting off alarms. It's just that if you touch the searchlights, a bunch of enemies will start swarming you. And you don't want that to happen. Yeah, as you can see there, that searchlight's going to go in front of that terminal there that we need to use to open that door and proceed with the level. So I'm just kind of waiting around, kind of experimenting with the gyros controls here. It's at this point where I'm starting to get the hang of how the gyro wing works. It did take me a while. It's like in the stages where I really start to get into it, you know. And it's just like, yeah, I can see why people... Because, like, this vehicle, honestly, kind of feels out of place, you know. I appreciate that they wanted to try something new, you know, and it's not like the vehicle sucks and I wish it wasn't in the game or anything. It's just more like... This stealth section in the Star Fox game, there's nothing inherently wrong with that at face value, but it's just... I don't know, I might have preferred something a little more traditional. But I don't know, for what this level is, I think it's fun enough, you know. It's, the stealth isn't... You aren't beaten over the head with the stealth elements or anything like that, so it's tolerable. And you can still shoot at stuff, and it's not like if you get caught by the alarm, you gotta redo the whole mission or anything. So it's more like this stage feels more like something that would have been Star Fox Assault, you know? Yeah, here I'm figuring out that I need to use the rockets to destroy these giant Star Fox 64 robots. Yeah, those things were in Corneria in the first game. One of the things about the spotlights that's kind of unique is that you can deactivate some of them, but not all of them, so... Yeah, as you can see here. One thing I did not discover until later in this episode is that, the direct eye can actually interface with monitors without it being on the ground. So, like, you can dangle the direct eye in front of a monitor and use it that way. And there's one boss later in the game where I wish that was possible. But we'll get to him when we get to him. So yeah, basically what the goal is here, and like I said, this feels something very much out of Star Fox Assault. In that it's not like a straightforward rail shooter type of stage, or even an all-range mode sort of thing. It's more like you're in this giant three-dimensional level where you can move around in all directions, and you've got to go find these 2 targets and disable them to be able to move on. And, yeah, that's basically what we're doing here. So you gotta... The game... I have noticed that some people wish that this game had a radar, but I think it's fine without it, because with bosses you've got target view, and with this you got the giant red fuck me arrows, so it's just like, if you can't figure out where to go, that's your problem, you know? So yeah. So I guess, I mean, I know that there's some people who hate it when stealth sections are like forced into a game that's otherwise not about that, like in Sonic Lost World, which is another underrated Wii U game that people hate. There was one part of, I think, Silent Forest Act 2 or something like that. Zone 2. They call it Zone 2 in that game for some reason. In Act 2 of Silent Forest, there's like a short section where there's this giant robot owl, and if it spots you with its searchlights, I think it kills you or something like that. I never got caught by him, so... But I know that there are some people like X and Shadow of Brain Scratch Commentaries who are just like, this doesn't belong in a Sonic game, how dare they put this in here? And other people have had similar reactions to this stage being in Star Fox Zero, and it's just... I don't know, I think it's fine. I mean, like I said, I have not gone through all the alternate pathways yet. I'm just recording this directly after recording the footage, you know? And so far, this is the only stealth stage in the game that I have played. So if there's more of this, I guess what I'm saying is it's possible to beat the game and only have to play one of these. So if you really hate it that much, it's only one stage. Get over it. Well, that's a little condescending. Yeah, as you can see here, I just got caught by the searchlight. So all that really happens is these security drones come after you and you just kill them, and it's really easy. So you do get punished for getting caught, but it's not like, you got caught. You got caught, Fox. Redo the entire mission from the beginning. Dang it, General. But yeah, I was being a little condescending there. I mean, like, really the only issue I have with this stage is that if you don't like playing it, it is a little bit on the lengthy side for what it is. Especially if you don't know where to go. Like right here, I'm trying to see if there's a panel to disable that spotlight down there. Because like the spotlight shines directly on the security panel thing you got to interact with in order to get inside of that little building there. So it's... yeah, there it is. You see that little hole there? That's where the panel's gonna be. So, but like if I get caught by the searchlights, then, you know, it's just like... Especially if I've already got the thing... Yeah, see, like, I try going off to the side so that the spotlight can't catch me, but then the tether doesn't reach, because... And like I said, when you play as the Direct Eye, everything's on the gamepad, so you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing in those little corridors. I think there's a way you can record gamepad footage. Like that guy who made the 3DS capture card made something or something like that. I seem to recall that, and Chugga Conroy has one. But it's just, I can't even afford a 3DS capture, so there's no way I'm gonna bother with a Wii U capture, gamepad capture, because it's just like... I don't know, this is like the only game I've ever played where anything special goes on the gamepad. Usually what happens is it's just like there's a map on it, or it's off TV play or something like that. Very rarely have I experienced, very rarely have they done anything really special with it, but, yeah. So, now that we've opened that security panel, we're going to be diving down in here and activating more switches, so you can use, you know, ZL to look down. Something I didn't mention in the last part. Yeah, as you can see here, I'm, like, twirling around, and that's in... Like, if you were to play the game and, like, see how everything's mapped to the sticks, that'd make more sense to you. I don't know, there's something about... I can't even really describe what it's like to handle the gyro wing. And I guess that is a little problematic, but it's just, well, like, when you play it, it makes sense, you know what I mean? But I guess for some people it doesn't make sense, because of how many people hate the controls in this game. But yeah. Here's where I discovered that the direct eye can actually shoot things. You guys can't see it, but, yeah, I'm looking around. Yeah, see, I'm shooting at things. It's... I don't know, like I said, there are only 2 stages I played where the gyro wing is used. I'm sure that the alternate pathways bring in more of it, and maybe it gets annoying, but I don't know, I think what I'm going to do is, after I release these 8 or so parts I have prepared... Oh, I got shot by something. After I finish these 8 or so parts I already have prepared, I'm gonna, I don't know, I guess record the other stages as well, and then do some follow-up parts, maybe? Because I'm gonna have to record them for the review anyway, so it's like, might as well comment on those as well, see what we got in store. Yeah. It's, you know. So now we've deactivated that generator, so now we've just gotta hightail it out of there. What am I doing? I think I'm looking for those little metal things. Like in the stages with the gyro wing, there are these little metals that the direct eye can pick up. Like Star Fox Zero has gold medals, just like Star Fox Zero has gold medals in it, just like 64 did. I think 64 only had 1 per stage, but Star Fox Zero has 5. So you can find all the 5 medals in each stage, and for the stages where the gyro wing and direct eye are used, there are these little Star Fox silver medals lying around. You grab them, then you get the gold medal. I guess I was looking around for one of those. But yeah. So we got one more generator left, and it's how long has it been? Like, looks like it's been about 12 minutes already, jeez. Wasn't expecting that, didn't feel like it. But, yeah, so now that I've already pretty much talked about what this stage is like and what it entails, might as well talk a little bit more about the whole motion controls thing. So, I think part of the reason why I had such an easy time with this game, and why the controls never felt cumbersome or awkward to me, is because, unlike most gamers out there, I mean, first of all, I'm not one of those people who thinks that motion controls are bad just because they're motion controls. How dare Nintendo shove those down my throat? You know, I'm not one of those people. I think that there is such a thing as good motion controls and bad motion controls. Like, for example, Jillian Michaels' Safari Adventure for the Xbox Kinect is an example of a game with bad motion controls. Sonic and the Secret Rings is an example of a game with bad motion controls. Black Knight is a little better, but at the same time, like, it's no Skyward Sword, the swordplay in that game. And you shouldn't expect that because it doesn't use the Motion Plus, but, you know. By the way, Kat is here. She was a character from Star Fox 64 who I think showed up on Zonas in that game. So she kind of makes another appearance here. But, yeah. But it's like, when motion controls are designed well and work properly, I'm willing to give them a fair shake. I'm willing to... I'm not one of those people who's just like, we have dual analog stick aiming controls, we don't need to try anything new. Don't break what doesn't need to be... Don't fix what isn't broken, essentially. A lot of people have that sort of mindset when it comes to gyroscopic or motion controls in shooting games in particular. But as for me, I think that when games actually do use motion controls for aiming, I think it is much more precise and accurate and so much more fun to play with than dual analog. Dual analog works, and it is one of those things where, like, if you can have it, I mean, like, I'm not going to say that now that we have pointing controls, all dual analog should be abolished or anything like that. What I will say is that when I play games that use aiming controls with gyroscope or Wii Remote or what have you, I find it much more precise and fun to play than otherwise. And a lot of people don't think that way. A lot of people think that it's just like motion control should always be optional, and that including them in a game is always bad because motion controls suck because they're motion controls. I mean, like, it feels to me sort of like, like back when the Wii was originally announced, it was like, wow, this is revolutionary, this is a great idea, this will change gaming forever, and everything will be amazing. It's just, I wasn't exactly there when all of this was happening. Like, I didn't really pay attention to, like, the E3 reveal of the Wii or anything like that. So I didn't really hear more about the Wii until much later. But, that's the impression I get from reading articles and watching videos and whatnot. But, and then what ended up happening is that the Wii got released, and then motion controls never really caught on because developers couldn't be arsed to actually program them responsibly. Because here's the thing about capitalism, folks. How far to go into this? How capitalism works is you want to make, like, you're a company, right? And you're in it for profit. You're a for-profit corporation. How you make money, essentially how capitalism works is you own capital, right? And capital is like investment money. It's like machines to produce products. It's not developers. It's like all the technology and intellectual properties that you need to make a game, essentially. And then you've got the people who actually make the game, which are, the workers, the developers. Essentially, you, as the capitalist, want to make as much profit as possible, so you can purchase more capital, make more product, and make more profit. And it's sort of like a never-ending cycle of where, you keep making more money, and you keep growing, and you keep getting more capital, and you keep, that's how it works. So if you're a video game developer, how you make money the fastest is by not changing up everything. You want to develop a formula that works. You want to make something that people like enough to actually want to purchase and keep purchasing, which is why we have so many franchises in gaming and in any other medium for that matter. And why, like, people are always just like, why do they keep remaking things and, making sequels? It's because that's what sells. When people already know something, they're more inclined to go purchase it and whatnot. Basically, what that means is that when motion controls come along and give developers an opportunity to do something new, you've got some developers who are just like, well, I can make this shovelware that sort of kind of uses motion controls and people will buy it because casual gamers like the Wii. Or I can just make something with a much more traditional control scheme and then just, do it that way. And then I know that people will like it. Because, like, if you use motion controls, there's no guarantee that people will learn it and like it. And I think Star Fox Zero is a prime example of that. Like, they took a huge risk with this game, and by trying something new that, other games had never, even in the series, had never done before. And it didn't end up working out for them, because I guess people just couldn't get used to the motion controls. I don't want to be condescending about that, because I think they just work, and I never had an issue, but I don't know, there's a legitimacy to the opinion that they don't work. I'm not going to say that they don't. That there isn't, rather. But, essentially, when it comes to motion controls, Nintendo was really, the people who made the fucking console are the only ones who really tried to do anything detailed or advanced with them to actually show how motion controls could contribute to gaming and make it more interesting. And because of that, you get a lot of shovelware games from third-party developers that don't actually try to make the motion controls work. And so people get this impression that motion controls must just suck because they never work in any of the games they play. But that's only because the third-party developers, the ones that make the shovelware, have no incentive to make them good. All the incentive they have is to make something as quickly as possible, ship it, and make money. It's not about building rapport with the consumer and developing a franchise or anything. Like, when you have, like, carnival games for the Wii, it's not really something that's going to take off into a huge franchise. It's more like something your grandma sees next to the checkout counter and buys because they think their grandson might like it, you know? And so you've got a lot of that, and but then you actually have companies like Nintendo who like have an interest in making the motion controls work, and so that they can sell the console that they made, you know? It's just like if the central gimmick on the console is never used, it's kind of like makes people less inclined to buy it, you know? And so we have games like Metroid Prime Trilogy and Skyward Sword that make the motion controls work and make them work really well, and those are really fun games that I think really show that gaming can be something more than this experience we're all used to. And Star Fox Zero sort of follows on that trend. But I blathered on long enough. The video's been done for like 2 minutes now, so join me in episode 4 when I will continue this conversation. And I'll see you guys then.